Welcome to the Business Finance Bulletin, episode 181. Welcome again to the latest Business Finance Bulletin with me, Rob Warlow from Business Loan Services. In this bulletin, big businesses to blame for late payment, bank borrowing to small businesses, and watch your credit file. Let's start this bulletin by taking a look at our old friend late payment. Yep, it's a problem that never goes away. A new survey carried out by Zurich as part of its regular SME Risk Index series found out that late payment really stems from a problem caused by the larger businesses. Zurich spoke to 1,000 small businesses, and those who suffer from late payment, 53% of them said the problem is caused by firms which are larger than them. In terms of the average amount of invoices overdue, £16,250 is the sum. That's a large amount of money to be carrying and hurting cash flow. What about payment terms? Well, of those who do suffer from late payment, 45% of them said that they would wait anything up to 3 months, and 14% of them said they would be waiting up to 6 months. So it's a big problem. What can you do about it? Well, the first thing to be aware of is that in the autumn of 2017, the government will be appointing the Small Business Commissioner, and one of his or her jobs will be to act as a mediator between small and larger firms where there are arguments about payments. But of course, there's stuff that you can do today that makes sure you're invoicing quickly and on time. Make sure your terms and conditions are very clear, particularly as regards payment terms. And of course, be quick when chasing overdue payments. Consider issuing a letter before action, or an LBA as it's called. That really draws a line in the sand and puts the customer on notice that you're expecting payment. So make sure that you don't become a lender to your customers. Chase late payment very, very quickly. As we know, there's an element of uncertainty about the performance of the UK economy. But there's no better measure of how confident business owners are than taking a look at how much money they are borrowing from banks. Now, the latest figures have just come out from the Bank of England as regards how much money banks are lending to both UK small businesses and larger businesses. Now, let's take a look first of all at small businesses. Now, the figures from the Bank of England every month take a look at the annual growth rate. And that's the growth rate of how much extra money has been borrowed by small businesses. Now, in April 2017, on an annual basis, the growth rate was 1.4%. In May, that growth rate was down to 1.3%. In June, that growth rate was down to 1.2%. And in July, the growth rate plummeted down to 0.7%. So we can see there's a steady drop in the amount of new money being lent to small businesses. Now, what about larger businesses? Well, that's a slightly different picture there. In April 2017, the annual growth rate was 3.7%. In May, it went up to 4%. In June, it stayed at 4%. And in July, here's the thing, it jumped up to a growth rate of 6.3%. Now, when I was preparing this bulletin, I took a look at these stats and I thought, well, wow, why is that happening? That's a massive jump in the amount of money being borrowed by larger businesses. It just didn't seem to make sense. And I was really scratching my head about why this would be, bearing in mind everyone's saying that larger businesses are holding back on investment and really not borrowing. Well, just before I was recording this bulletin, I happened to notice a post on LinkedIn from Mark Beresford-Smith, who is the head of economics at HSBC Bank. And they actually put their hand up and said it was our fault. We lent £25 billion to British American Tobacco to fund an acquisition. And we think that substantially skewed the figures. So the annual growth rate was nowhere near 6.3%. It's really been skewed by this one transaction. It's quite amazing to think that one transaction can just change all of those numbers. So take that away, and probably that jump in borrowing by larger businesses is much smaller, but it still outstrips what small businesses are doing. So the message here is, come on, small businesses. The larger businesses are actively borrowing and growing, and you should be doing the same as well. Take a look at where your markets are and have the confidence to get out there and continue growing. In the years that I've been doing this bulletin, one topic I refer to quite regularly is the importance of knowing what's on your credit file. Now, one thing to realise as small business owners is that when you're approaching lenders to borrow money, they do place great emphasis on what's on your credit file. So it's really important that you understand what exactly is registered against you. Now, the importance of this has been highlighted to us again this week, where we've had two problems with clients where things have come back to bite them as regards what was listed on their credit file. The first one was a dispute that a customer got into with an insurance company, and for some unknown reason the insurance company marked a fraud indicator against the client's credit file. They had no idea about it, they're totally unaware of it, and it's not their fault, so they're now battling with the insurance company to get it removed. But in the interim, with that marker being, they have no chance of getting credit, so that needs to be resolved. The second client, they didn't realize how long a bad payment track record and history can hang around. So we've got to battle with one lender, try and make them understand, listen, the problem is now solved, look at the bank accounts, everything is fine. Now, what can you do here? Well, obviously mistakes do happen on your credit file, so it's important that you check your file regularly. You can go to any one of the three major credit reference agencies, Experian, Equifax and Call Credit, sign up to a monthly service. If you don't want to do that, you can get hold of what's called a statutory credit report. That just costs you £2. You can download it from any of those three providers I mentioned, and that'll give you a snapshot of what exactly is quoted on your file. So please don't get caught out. Make sure you're fully aware of what's registered against your name and address. Well, that's it for another bulletin. As ever, I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please don't forget to give it a like and a share. Keep out for our next bulletin, episode 182, in 7 days' time. I look forward to being with you then with more news, tips and ideas on raising finance and dealing with banks.